I think it's an important memory for all of us, but it was the morning of September 11th, 2001, and my sister and I were sitting in our hotel in the World Trade Center, Marriott World Trade Center Hotel, finishing up breakfast at our table, and all of a sudden, boom, the loudest explosion I've ever heard in my life, and our room just rocked, and the window bowed out, and the debris started falling past our window. And my sister had gone into the bathroom to brush her teeth, and I ran to her and threw my arms around her, and I held her tightly, and I said, "It's either an explosion or an earthquake, and I think we're going to die." And she's more of an optimist than I. She says, "We're not going to die." And we opened the hotel room door and looked out into the hall, and two of the maids were running down the hall. We just fell in behind them and ran down the hall and around a little bit of a corner and into the stairwell, and there were people just pouring down from the floors above us already, just quietly. There wasn't any panic or any disruption, really. We held each other's hands very, very tightly and ran down the stairs, and about halfway down the stairs, the fumes of the plane that had gone into the building filled the stairwell, and I thought we wouldn't be able to breathe, but we ran on down, out and across the wide expanse of the Marriott lobby and out the door and across the street, ran across those many lanes of traffic and turned around and looked up, and the great gaping hole in the side of Tower 1 with the smoke just boiling out and the flames, and the windows had been blown out, and people were throwing clothes out to get attention or throwing papers, anything to get attention. I said to my sister, "Those people are going to die. There's no equipment that can get up that high." And I turned away, but my sister was still watching when the people started jumping. And she said those images are just engraved forever on the insides of her eyelids. We stood and watched for just a few minutes, and then when the air was so full of noise you thought there couldn't possibly be another sound, there came the low, unbelievable roar of that second plane coming down and crashing into and punching clear through Tower 2. And then we knew that it wasn't an accident. At first it could have been just a plane in trouble hitting the tallest thing around, but now it was no longer an accident. And what's going next? And we looked around for a way to run, and the skyscrapers were to the north, and that didn't seem like a good idea. So we ran south, and we had done a 10K walk on Sunday, which really acquainted us with the area. We knew where there was a phone on the outside of a building in a little park just a few blocks down, and we ran there. Just a few people standing in line at that phone, and we were able to call back to her company in Topeka, Kansas, and they called my family in Seattle and Bellingham and let them know that we were safe, that we were okay. It was quite a story. We ran as fast as we could, and then we were standing with a group of people in that little park watching those two magnificent buildings burn. And the sides of Tower 2 started to swell, and it just started down, crumbling into itself and went straight down. And then the dust started, and the dust was probably as scary as the explosions because it was like being chased by Godzilla. It was all the stuff that makes up a skyscraper, concrete and glass and asbestos. I had a jacket on, I took it off, and I yelled to my sister, "Put this over your head too," and we ran together with that to shield our eyes. Ran till we found some warehouses down toward the end of Long Island there, and crouched down by there and stayed until we heard people shouting, "A ferry, a ferry." And we remembered seeing the place where the ferries came over to take you to visit Statue of Liberty or to go over to New Jersey. And we ran back there, and there were big husky guys standing at the seawall there, lifting us up and over the fence and dropping us onto small boats that had come up there to rescue people who were in the same way we were. And they took us across the water, a very bumpy trip. And when we landed over there, there were a lot of people, and we couldn't really find a phone that we could use or anything, but we really realized all of a sudden that we were homeless in Seattle. We had the clothes that we had on, and that was it. No money, no ID, no nothing. When we got home, finally, I got back to Seattle on Friday night. A lot of things in between, of course. But my daughter called me. Well, first, of course, all the kids and grandkids met me at the airport, except the two youngest ones. And my daughter's oldest and I are very close, and my daughter called from Bellingham on Sunday and said, "Jeremy really needs to see you." So I went up to Bellingham, and on Monday, Jeremy took me to school for show and tell for his first grade class, and he had the kids all seated in a circle in front of him, and they asked some of the most intelligent questions of any audience that I've had since. And the teacher came up to me afterwards and said, you know, Jeremy heard your daughter telling a friend that you just got out with the clothes on your back. Jeremy came to school and told his teachers that Grandma didn't have any clothes on her front. She just had clothes on her back.